Merlin is the strongest demon lord out of the 7 demon kings. But you see, Merlin had a problem. Although he could more or less one-shot the strongest monsters, he was cursed to defeat the strongest people to stay alive. In this world, the humans from the Bright Continent have been trying to destroy the demons from the Dark Continent, which has led to numerous campaigns and hundreds of years of war. They have yet to succeed because the 7 demon kings defend their respective castles. Merlin is the most cruel and terrifying out of all the demon kings. He's currently struggling to complete a quarterly report because there is a huge battle raging on outside the castle. The humans have decided to launch another battle, and Merlin's little sister called Lilith is leading the demon troops in their defense. She uses her charm magic to make the human soldiers attack each other. One knight is not affected by the spell and leaps towards Lilith to attack. The demon general counters and breaks the helmet of her attacker. Long, flowing white hair gushes out to reveal Alice, who is the 233rd hero. She lands a hit on Lilith, which sends her crashing to the ground. This also dispels the charm on the soldiers. The love spell didn't work on her because she is a woman. The two exchange blows, and Lilith is a little disappointed that Alice is only at high rank in terms of strength. The hero is determined to show her ability and uses a combination of her ice magic and swordsmanship to pin Lilith to the ground. Alice uses a seal to keep the demon general down and declares their campaign as a success. Merlin overhears the humans' cheers and gets livid. Alice asks the priest leading the army to give the order for them to storm the first demon lord's castle. He informs her that there is no need for that and reveals the white whale. It is a weapon that combines the highest wisdom and most advanced technology that the kingdom has to offer. The choir sings as the head priest barks about how it's going to flatten everything. Alice is opposed to excessive collateral damage, as she thought that they only came to defeat the demon king. The cleric feels like all demons are evil. He gets emotional as he thinks about how Merlin humiliated him during a previous campaign. He was the only survivor, so made it seem like he fought bravely when he returned. This gained him a high position in the church. The choir's aura gets sucked by the white whale. This powers it to fire a blast at the castle. Unfortunately, Merlin comes out and blocks it with ease. He descends onto the battlefield, and Alice notes how attractive he is. The first demon king ends up standing on her like the gum on the sidewalk as he lands. Lilith hugs her brother as soon as he frees her. She complains about how the humans tried to bully her. Alice escapes from Merlin's foot and formally introduces herself as the kingdom's hero. The demon lord interrupts her when he dashes into her personal space. His pop idol aesthetic stuns her for a moment, giving Merlin the chance to land a flick which sends her flying. After one look at the human army, he doesn't think they are worthy of him drawing his sword. However, the white whale has caught his attention. Merlin was born with an unidentified curse which causes his life force to deplete rapidly, so he must consistently slay enemies who are saint rank or above to survive. The stronger the foe, the longer he can live before he must fight again. He remarks that cutting down the whale will relieve his curse for 2 days. The Lord also recalls how the head priest pled for his life like a loser the last time they met. The army is shocked to hear this, so the old man is prompted to deny the truth. But the river of sweat running down his face tells us that he's a liar. He throws a little unhinged tantrum and uses the maximum power of the white whale. It extracts all the life force from the choir and the soldiers. The concentration of power is on the level to make Merlin draw his sword. He unleashes a slice that cuts down the creature before it can fire its blast. The whale explodes as chunks rain down on the devastated priest. He quickly submits and starts to shamelessly beg for his life again. He points to Alice as the real enemy of the demon lord. Merlin panics when the deadline for his report sounds. He rushes back to the castle, but he stops halfway and cuts down the entire army with one swing of his sword as Alice tries to block. Lilith complains that her brother defeated them alone again. During that interval, Merlin meets up with the elders to report. They are not impressed because he has not generated any revenue for the entire quarter. He tries to explain that he's too busy dealing with the humans. They don't accept his excuses and counter by pulling up how much money the other demon lords make. Merlin almost explodes when they bluntly tell him that he is the worst demon lord in history. He calls them blind for not seeing that most of the humans attack him. He has eliminated millions of enemies to guard their nation. Merlin threatens to quit as he thinks that he's irreplaceable, so the elders call his bluff. They outline the damages he causes every time he goes into battle, and it all amounts to 66 trillion. He lets out a shocked scream. All the while it is revealed that Alice was the only survivor of the demon lord's attack. The meeting comes to an end, and Lilith spots Merlin trying to leave the castle with his bag. He lies to her that he has outgrown the demon world, and there is no room for someone of his power. He wants to explore the wider world, but she sees through the cap. and makes it known that she is aware that he got fired. He tries using the curse as another reason why he must leave, but his little sister doesn't want him to go. Her tune quickly changes when she hears that he must pay the 66 trillion debt to stay. Lilith waves him goodbye and hopes that he can gather the money to pay the arrears so that he can return. Despite Merlin being the strongest demon, his little sister thinks he's a naive fool on the inside. She is sure that he will run back crying when he is defeated by the harshness of the outside world. Lilith hopes that this experience will make him serious about meeting his performance target. She decides to survey the site of the last battle against the humans. At this point, Alice has regained consciousness and crawls to safety. She ponders on how lucky she is to be alive and how strong Merlin is. Her thoughts are interrupted when she senses Lilith coming. She plays dead so the demon general inspects her body before deciding to take her back home to put into her collection. She finds Alice's armor to be heavy. She summons her scythe to take Alice's head, but the hero quickly dodges, which amuses the demon. Lilith confesses that she is furious at Alice for embarrassing her in front of her brother. The hero tries to run, so the demon general turns it into a game by summoning her familiars to chase her down. All the while, Merlin reaches the coast of the demon continent. He hopes to find the ships that the human used to cross the sea. Unfortunately, all the ships are wrecked, because his army-destroying attack sank the ships too. He can't swim because demons sink to the bottom when they enter the sea. Things get better for him when he finds a small boat. He is reluctant to row across the sea alone. An idea pops into his head when he spots Alice frantically running away from Lilith's beasts. The hero makes the creatures slip. This gives her time to have a flashback. Her master warned her against leaving the mountain due to the dangers in their world, but Alice was confident that 10 years of training had made sure that she had few rivals. She wanted to explore the world and meet her Prince Charming. Little did she know what will happen to her. Alice snaps back to her current reality and wishes she listened to her mentor. She finds a place to hide, giving her the chance to launch an ambush on the beasts. The hero manages to take one out. However, her win is short-lived when the remaining creature transforms and pins her down. Merlin saves her by simply telling the beast to sit. It obeys his command and turns into a cute animal. He tells the beast to inform Lilith that Alice is going to be his slave because he spared her during the battle, and he has now saved her life. The demon lord picks the squealing hero and forces her to row. She later enters a state of delusion where a defeated Merlin begs for his life as she rushes into the arms of her dream man. But in reality, she holds on to the paddle with a stupid look on her face. Merlin doesn't want to spend another moment with her in that state. So he splashes some water on her face and tells her to get back to rowing. The hero mumbles some insults to herself before continuing her work. Alice makes it clear that she is only sharing a boat with him until they arrive on the bright continent. She even goes as far as to warn him that he will fall to her sword one day. For now, she aggressively rows against the rocky waters. The hero is impressed when she notices how balanced he is on the unstable boat. However, her respect quickly fades when she notices that he has hooked his foot to a beam holding on for dear life. This is to the point that it's starting to crack. Alice gets tired as evening comes. She is jolted when she smells the grilled fish that Merlin is cooking. He seasons his food and berates his servant for slowing down. Alice gets livid and quits as she can't take his nonsense comments anymore. She doesn't mind if they lose their lives at sea. The demon lord promises to reward her with some of the fish if she works hard. Alice tries resisting to keep the little dignity she has left, but her growling stomach is screaming for the food. The lady folds faster than Diddy when he sees some baby oil. She grabs a skewer, berating herself as she enjoys it. The hero doesn't understand how an evil demon lord can also be a grill master. Their meal is interrupted when some sharks surround the duo. Alice is sure that the aroma from the food attracted them. But I know the sharks are there to grill them like how Merlin grilled their cousin Bruce from Nemo. She gets on high alert and draws her blade, but Merlin assures her that they are fine. The hero reveals that the sea is inhabited by powerful and dangerous creatures. One of the sharks tries to attack but pauses when it sees the demon lord. It quietly slides back into the water and leaves with his buddies. Merlin states that he is the most menacing being on the ocean, and that is why they retreated. Alice feels like they ran away because a sea monster might be nearby. She outlines how the kingdom must rub dragon excrement on their hull to deter sea monsters from attacking them. The dragon they normally harvested the waste from has disappeared, so dragon feces is now worth more than gold. This is music to Merlin's ears because he recently captured one and he can call it using a special crystal. He pulls it out and reveals his pet. Alice is stunned because it's their missing dragon. The demon lord hugs the gem as it's about to make him rich because he can sell the poo. Sadly for him, it slips out of his hand and into the sea. It is disclosed that the contract with the creature is invalid if he loses the crystal, so he now has no way to summon the creature. Alice can't believe that Merlin is trying to downplay his colossal blunder. Their attention shifts when they notice that the vibe on the sea has changed. They figure that a powerful predator is approaching them. Alice starts to panic when she sees the huge shadow beneath their boat. The sea monster causes the currents to become volatile as it emerges. Merlin also reveals that he can't swim. The hero decides to fight to the death and attacks, but it only annoys the creature, so the demon lord takes over and cuts it down with one slice. Alice really hates him, but she admits that the guy is strong. The duo has a smooth row going forward. They arrive on the bright continent soon after. Merlin fires Alice as his servant when they touch down. He was always eyeing her expensive armor, so he steals it from her. The demon lord tells her that it's his compensation for saving her from the sea monster. He runs off laughing as she curses him. Back on the dark continent, Lilith enjoys some cake and is sure that her useless brother has arrived in the human kingdom and wonders how long he will last. Alice doesn't get her hero's return and is rather trialed for her incompetence, which led to the annihilation of their army. She is found guilty and stripped of her status as a hero. A fine of 50 million gold coins is issued to her for losing the mithril armor that was rented to her. Alice tries to explain that it was looted by the first demon king, but the judge is not interested in her excuses and makes his verdict effective immediately. A year after the trial, and Alice works as an adventurer to help pay her huge debt. She currently finds herself on a ship facing the Redbeard pirate brothers. Her objective is to rescue a mayor's daughter, but the captain can't believe that a warrior who is only an elite level would try to take on holy level overlords like them. The pirates push her back with their attacks. However, Alice is still determined to do her job. The criminal brothers dash in to finish her off when Merlin makes an explosive entry. He heard that there are 2 holy tier warriors in the area. Alice doesn't recognize the demon lord since he has his back to her. She is in awe of him. The brothers quickly recover from being landed on by Merlin. They try to attack him, but he cuts them down with a single swing of his sword. This creates a huge shockwave that destroys the Navy ships that were en route to give Alice back up in the rescue mission. The demon lord doesn't care about the collateral damage caused because this victory means that he doesn't have to worry about his curse for 3 months. Alice is smitten by this nameless Chad, but Merlin excuses himself before she can get close to him. The incident is reported in the news by a lady named Bella. It is revealed that the demon lord is being called the Nightblade, and the queen has issued a bounty on his head for destroying the fleet. The ex-hero is interviewed since she was a witness, and she fangirls over the Nightblade, making it clear that he's not a criminal, but a champion who defeated the Redbeard pirates. Weeks later, and her embarrassing interview still gets aired, which annoys her. The ex-hero counts the gold she has gathered so far and is ecstatic to have saved up her first 10,000. However, this is short-lived when she realizes how much she has left to pay. She insults the first demon king for ruining her reputation, as well as throwing her into a lifetime of debt. Now she must rely on quests to pay it off. She hits the table out of frustration, causing water to spill on one of her contracts. She inspects the wanted poster, and it's for a criminal that has a 5,000 gold coins bounty for dining and ditching. Alice wonders how many free meals the guy must have eaten to have such a reward. She also notes that the guy looks like Merlin, but she dismisses the possibility because there is no way someone as strong as the demon lord would be a freeloader. Alice rushes to get the next carriage to the region in which her target has moved to. She ironically hugs a picture of the Nightblade before cursing the demon king. During that interval, Merlin is happy that he has become a wanted criminal in his first year on the bright continent. However, he is not impressed with his bounty given his status and power. The demon's stomach grumbles as he looks at his poster. Turns out that he wasted the money he made from selling the mithril armor in just a few months. He spent it on impressing women and eating like a king. He was labeled a freeloader when he couldn't pay his tab anymore. He complains while walking, till he sees a town in the distance. He can't wait to eat some good food, which is suspicious coming from someone who has no money. The demon king is ambushed by thieves before he can take another step. He lets them know that he has no valuables and rather wants them to give him their food. The thieves try to intimidate him with their knife skills by peeling an apple. They also attempt to take his sword, but Merlin shifts the leader's position away from the town and cuts him down, which also destroys the mountains in the backdrop. Turns out the bandits were goblins disguised as humans. The demon lord discloses that he knew this as soon as they approached him. The terrified survivor rushes to the goblin boss to report their encounter. The boss is happy to hear this because it means that the humans have broken the peace treaty. A mage from the goblins named Jijamel, who is also a lieutenant, reveals that the humans fell for their bait. The boss gives the order for them to attack and pillage the nearby town. The other goblins cheer for their king as they get hyped. Back in the Dark Continent, Lilith receives a letter from her older brother. It details the lavish lifestyle that he's living, but she knows that he's bluffing and he's probably struggling. Meanwhile, in the human world, Merlin arrives in the town and goes to a tavern and gets some food. He beats a professional fighter who has been hired to deal with people who want to eat for free. The demon lord excuses himself, and the owner recognizes him as the fugitive who likes to eat without paying. He alerts everyone to the arrival of the freeloader. They gather and scowl at Merlin, prompting him to leave the hostile area. The demon lord finds himself at a different part of the town where he bumps into Henry. He takes a defensive stance, thinking that the boy is looking for trouble. But the lad rather thinks that he is a street performer and is willing to pay to see something cool. Merlin plays along because he is broke. He demonstrates one of his attacks using his finger, but Henry is not impressed that he didn't draw his sword and refuses to pay. This prompts the demon lord to take the kid's ice cream and drop it on the floor. Henry falls to his knees devastated and calls Merlin classless as he smugly walks away after bullying the boy. Meanwhile, a carriage carrying Alice arrives at the town. She traveled with some fellow adventurers. They express their gratitude for being able to travel with the former hero. The healer wants to know why she was stripped of her rank. Before she can explain, a bookseller announces the release of a scandalous novel that reveals the forbidden love between the first Demon King and Alice. This book has more tea than an episode of Wendy Williams. The party are shocked by this disclosure. Things get worse when she learns that the book also has deep secrets about the failure of the last campaign and how she became a slave to the demon lord. The healer believes the contents of the book without even reading it, which annoys Alice. The ex-hero falls to the ground when she hears that the novel has sold over 5 million copies. The party ignore her dramatic behavior to discuss the recent robberies in the area. Their mission is to deal with them. Alice is shocked when it is revealed that the leader and the healer are about to get married. They are on their last quest before they retire and live a quiet life in their hometown. The ex-hero is a little salty because she is yet to meet her love. The party split from the ex-hero and wish her luck. They are heading to the cave where the bandits are suspected to inhabit. Alice turns her attention to finding the freeloader. All the while, Merlin finds an inn to get some food. He tries to leave without paying after eating, but the owner named Martha catches him. The demon lord lies that he came to apply for a job when he sees a help wanted sign, but she is not sure about employing someone who wants to eat for free. Merlin taps into his vast recruitment experience. He starts to talk about his credentials, but Martha only wants to know what special skill he possesses that will aid him working in the inn. Merlin performs a pop star level performance that impresses the owner and the customers. She decides to hire him. However, the demon lord is shocked to learn that his wage will be 1 gold coin. But he will also be getting 15% commission on beverages. The boss informs him of their large female customer base that come at night. Merlin gets the hint that he should do a show for the ladies to drive sales. Martha has not forgotten that he tried to dine and dash, so she's going to deduct the cost of the food from his wages. The demon lord is stunned when Henry gets reintroduced to him. We learn that Martha is his mother. The lad calls him out and his mom berates him for his rudeness. Merlin knows he wronged the boy, so he downplays the boy's disrespect. Martha asks her son to show the newcomer to his room. The demon lord pleads for the boy to forgive him as soon as they are alone. He reveals himself to be the Nightblade when he learns that the boy is a fan. Henry gets offended that he even made such a comment and kicks him into his room. Elsewhere, the adventurer party encounter the goblins and get surrounded. Their healer can't treat the wounded and the situation is looking dire. But they try one last assault, however. Jijamel is there to stop them with her magic. The leader pleads for the goblin mage to spare his fiancée and is willing to do anything to keep her safe, so he is given a chance to prove it. Back at the inn, Merlin starts his first shift, and the male customers don't like his service because he sits behind the counter and uses his power to pass them the food. But when it comes to the girls, this Rizzler gets up and delivers whatever the female customers want. He even tries to steal some guy's girl with free cake and his boy band smile. The male date gets annoyed and tries to get the lady to leave with him, but Merlin grabs all the women attention with his performance. The men promise to never come to the inn again as they watch the ladies screaming like fangirls. Martha later looks through their records and notes that sales has increased a lot. Merlin wishes that the demon elders were around to hear the praise his new boss is giving him. She even wants to advertise his performance in the newspaper to get more female customers. But Merlin thinks about the embarrassment he will feel if the demons found out. So he rizzes Martha as he explains why she shouldn't go public. Henry doesn't like the way he's interacting with his mother and warns him to stay away if he doesn't want to catch his baby punches. He storms off annoyed and loudly takes his frustrations out on a tree. Alice overhears him and questions the kid about this con man. She gets more interested when he informs her about the young man who eats for free at their inn, but she doubts that this guy is her target when the lad outlines how this new worker has used his charm to make half a year of sales in a couple of days. Their conversation is interrupted when the town's men come to complain about how their women are spending too much money at the inn. They blame Merlin and offer her money to deal with him for cheating the women of their town out of their money. Alice reluctantly agrees to investigate and makes it to the inn just as one of Merlin's performances is going on. She compares the guy on stage to her wanted poster, and it's a match. The former hero tries to sneak up to apprehend him. Unfortunately, a spotlight shines on her, and Merlin takes her hand. Alice thinks that she is getting captured and attacks, but the demon lord dodges and makes it look like a dance which the ladies who are watching love. Things take an unexpected turn for Alice when she uses her sword to accidentally remove Merlin's mask. She gets petrified that she's being dancing with the Demon King. This soon turns to pure rage as she tries to end Merlin like a psycho. But he dodges and weaves till Alice accidentally lodges the blade into the stage. This gives the Demon Lord a chance to pin her down. Alice cries and vaguely complains about what Merlin did to her. The ladies in the crowd misinterprets what happened. They look at Merlin like he's a bad person. He tries to explain, but this is a panel of women who have already made up their mind. He will have more success in convincing the Mavs that the Luca trade was a good one. Martha later serves an upset Alice some tea after the show and tells the Demon King to apologize. Merlin is annoyed that this misunderstanding has lost him his tips for the night. Alice confronts him about the stolen mithril armor. He tells her that he sold it for several tens of millions of gold coins, but he spent all the money. The former hero is devastated to hear this and wants to arrest him, but she knows she is not strong enough to do that and starts to get depressed about being forced to take on holy-level enemies as an adventurer just to pay the debt. Merlin becomes excited that she gets to fight such strong opponents and urges her to recommend him to be an adventurer. He tells her that it is his childhood dream, but we know that he wants the job because of his curse, but the former hero refuses. All the while, Henry heads to the town gate because he doesn't want to be around the con man. The guards tell him to get home because it's late. A call from outside the gate catches their attention. It is the party leader pleading for them to open him, but they are unwilling as it is the town's rules not to open the gate at night. They make an exception and open when he informs them that all his comrades have perished. The goblins pop out of the tree line and burst into the village. The party leader repeatedly apologizes for the betrayal. He asks Jijamel if his fiancée will be returned to him. The mage goblin responds with a fireball to his face.
I think he should take that as a fat no.
Jijamel orders her men to pillage the town and take captives. Henry finds a hiding place and is terrified. While that was going on, Alice storms out of the inn in disbelief that one of the 7 demon kings would come to the human world only to be a freeloading dancer. She gives up on her current mission as it's going to be impossible to capture the Demon King. She just hopes that she can meet the Nightblade again soon. The former hero is oblivious to the fact that she has a crush on her arch-enemy. She pauses her rant when she notices the fire and the sound of fighting that has engulfed the town. Merlin is on his next shift when the goblins bust in. He tries to welcome them like they are new customers. He soon realizes that they have hostile intentions when they state that they have taken control of the village. The ladies tremble in fear, but Merlin swiftly kicks the goblins since they are not paying customers. His display of strength sends the women into senseless euphoria. Martha wonders how the creatures got into the town. She remembers that Henry is not home yet and rushes out to find him. She asks Merlin to take care of the shop in her absence when more goblins barge in, so the demon lord uses a nearby broom as his sword to fend them off. He defeats them in style while also serving the ladies their food before excusing himself to look for Martha. All the while, the inn boss pushes through the panicking crowd looking for her son when someone informs her that he was at the gate. She finds him but is forced to lure some goblins away from him, which leads to her getting caught. Henry's legs go like jelly when he tries to save his mother. He doesn't understand why they will not move, but I know it's because he's a useless coward like Buggy the Clown. Meanwhile, Merlin casually walks through the chaos-ridden streets and comments on how it feels like he is back on the Dark Continent. He is attacked by some goblins, but he cuts them down with a flick of the wrist. One tries to escape, but Alice finishes him off. She accuses Merlin of being the mastermind of this attack. The Demon King reminds her that someone of his level doesn't need the help of goblins to do anything. He's too lazy to interact with the former hero, so he walks away. Alice wants them to work together to defeat the creatures, since he is not part of the assault. He refuses and is only willing to help if she pays him 10,000 gold coins. She can't afford it, so he leaves to go save his boss. The former hero takes matters into her own hands and engages the goblins alone. She is soon confronted by Jijamel, who is a little disappointed that Alice uses ice magic as this puts her fire spells at a disadvantage. The mage thinks that she can win in close quarters combat because goblins are stronger than humans. The former hero stuns her by disarming and knocking her back. A young goblin comes to inform her about how Merlin has taken out half of their men with his monstrous abilities. Jijamel orders a retreat because they didn't prepare for such high-level resistance. They thought this raid was going to be like taking candy from a baby. The townspeople start to take stock of the missing as they cry. Johnson offers his services in protecting the village, but he wants 10,000 gold coins a month. The people rush over and beg him to save their loved ones, but he feels like they should forget about them because they have probably met their demise. Alice arrives with the injured party leader who informs them that those who have been taken are still alive and are being held in the cave to be used as servants. The villagers get hostile towards him when they learn that he was the one who tricked them to letting the goblins in. Alice tries to reveal herself as the former hero, hoping that this will calm the situation, but it only causes everyone to whisper about the contents of that novel of her and the Demon King. Johnson tries to take control by painting Alice and the party leader as untrustworthy. He throws a punch at them, but the former hero knocks him out. She then gives an emotional speech about how they need to save those who have been captured by taking up arms, instead of cowering only to later regret it. Alice tells the party leader to stay in the village to heal his wounds, while she goes alone to get the hostages back. Henry refuses to be a quitter and runs home to grab his late dad's sword to use to save his mother. Some goblins who missed the retreat signal come in. The lad tries to attack, but he is swatted away like a bad smell. Merlin comes in to save the kid just as the creatures are about to finish him off. Henry still doesn't like him and tries to leave, but Merlin stops him since it's too dangerous for a kid to be going out. The kid reveals that his mother was taken by the goblins, so he must go and save her. The demon informs him that he will only get hurt because he's too weak. Henry starts to cry out of frustration, which triggers Merlin to have a flashback to when his mother was in danger when he was younger. So he decides to help. But he doesn't know the location of the goblin hideout. The demon lord overhears a party talking about heading to the lair to rescue those that were captured. Merlin presents himself as the reliable warrior leader they are looking for, but they laugh at him since they only know him to be a dancing freeloader. Henry vouches for Merlin's strength, but they don't believe the boy. The demon lord is enraged that they are joking about his abilities, but he plays along by grabbing Johnson and making him the leader of the rescue party. The villagers are a lot more confident with his arrangement as they set out. Meanwhile, Alice sneaks into the hideout and carefully makes her way through it. The goblin boss commends Jijamel on a good job, but she informs him about the two troublesome individuals, but leaves out the part that they forced them to retreat. She instead tells him that they came earlier to let him enjoy the spoils of their raid sooner, and assures him that they will defeat the problematic duo when they come to save those that were taken. Jijamel later intercepts the rescue party by erecting a fire dome around them just as they arrive at the cave. The humans start to panic when their weapons melt due to the extreme heat. Merlin nonchalantly walks through the fire barrier as Jijamel brags about how high-level warriors can't break through it. The other goblins are too busy giving her hype to realize that the demon lord is behind them. A whisper from him makes the mage to jolt in shock as she wonders how he didn't burn to ashes. Merlin also rizzes her into submission, but Jijamel resists and hits him with her most powerful fire spell. The Demon King blows it away with a sneeze that also takes out all the weaker goblins. He finishes Jijamel off with a flick that sends her crashing into the cave wall. The humans are surprised when the fire around them disappears. They suspect that Merlin might be the Nightblade based on the feat he just performed, plus his silhouette as he walks into the cave. During that interval, Alice locates the captives and knocks out the young guards. Some older goblins enter just as she breaks the locks. The former hero tells the healer priestess to guide everyone out of the cave while she deals with the threat. Alice hits the goblins into the throne room of the boss. Her plan of not alerting more enemies comes crumbling down when the boss steps up to face her and hopes that she can be a source of entertainment for him. As soon as Alice senses his presence, she notes that he's a holy tier warrior. She's not able to keep up with his speed as she's blown back in the first clash. The boss menacingly stands over her as Merlin cluelessly wanders around looking for the hostages. Back in the throne room, Alice quickly recovers and lands a blow, but the boss's wounds instantly heal. He commends the former hero on her toughness because he is sure that his hit broke several of her bones. She ignores the backhanded compliment and tries multiple techniques against the boss. He recovers from the fatal injuries and enters his true muscular form. The goblin leader takes out the former hero in a single punch and picks her up like a doll. All the while, the ladies dash for the exit as the creatures chase after them. They bump into Merlin along the way, and he quickly dispatches the pursuers. Martha pleads with him to save Alice after seeing how great of a warrior he is. His evil consciousness tells him not to save her as there is no benefit, but his more rational evil side points out how saving her makes her more likely to recommend him to the Adventurers Guild. Martha further entices him by offering to triple his salary. He gets more excited when he learns that Alice is in a room filled with gold coins. It is also where the goblin boss, who is a holy tier warrior, sits. The ladies don't think Merlin is strong enough to take on such a foe, but he quickly rushes in there and starts to admire the gold as he lays claim to it. The goblin leader gets offended that he's not paying attention to him, so he tries to finish Alice to make his point. Merlin saves the former hero by taking the hand of the goblin boss. As he screams, the demon lord worries that he will not get his bonus because Alice is in such a bad state. He gently places her down to face the boss. It turns out that the goblin was faking his pain, so he regenerates his hand. The goblin realizes that Merlin is not an ordinary fighter when he starts to easily block all attacks. The boss wants to know his name, but Merlin makes it clear that he's too weak to have such an honor. The goblin gets offended and unleashes his full power. Merlin laughs at the display, but guesses that taking out such an opponent will extend his life by 15 to 20 days. He stops the strike with his bare hand and unsheathes his sword. That is when the goblin boss realizes that he is facing one of the demon lords. It's too late for him to ask for mercy as Merlin cuts him down. The power from his slice brings down the cave. He decides to save Alice instead of gathering some gold. The duo makes it out just as it collapses. Henry is happy to see them safe, but Merlin cries at the billions of gold coins that he just lost. That brings the episode to an end.